We begin with a book that is now banned from Miami-Dade schools. In a 5-4 vote this week, school board members pulled a textbook about sex health education based on a petition by a relatively small number of objections and against the will of the majority of parents and the district's own objective advisor.
The board approved using that book after a public hearing in April, but since then it appears politics has come into play. There is an election August 23rd. 3 school board members are on the ballot and they have challengers, conservative challengers, candidates who oppose these books.
Veteran board member Marta Perez was one of those who voted to remove that sex health textbook, and she is with us this morning live via Zoom. Good morning, Marta.
How are you?
Marta Perez, good morning. We are glad to see you. Thank you for joining us. Well, first, let's just get to the basics. You voted against using this textbook, Comprehensive Health Skills, which has been in the school curriculum. Why did you vote against it?
Well, we had voted against it. I had voted against it before, but the reason is that some of the other chapters in the book are perhaps offensive to some of the parents, particularly about the transgender, fluid gender, things like that. But I did not vote against sex education. What I have proposed is that we have these chapters that we're going to be using, which is only a couple of chapters in the book, have that and have each parent opt in, have a parent sign that they are okay with having their child have this education, just as we ask parents if we could take pictures of their children in school, or just as we say, sign so we can take them on a field trip. Let's have parents sign off on whether this is education that is appropriate for their children.
So that I hate to interrupt you, but there is a significant difference between those two things in that this component of education is actually required by the state. So without this textbook now and without replacing the textbook at the same time as the board banned it, really the district is out of state compliance?
It is not correct to say it was banned. It was just the way it was presented was voted down. But that doesn't mean that we cannot take the chapters, show them to the parents, say, are you okay with this or are you not? Also, I'd like to correct the fact that the majority of the parents wanted it and all that. I have to say, just yesterday, I spoke to a group of Muslim parents. They were very concerned. A lot of parents currently are very concerned about, part of the chapters were said about gender, gender fluidity, things like that. So we need to make the parents our partners in this. And I think a very easy solution is to say, opt in. It's not banning books at all. It's saying, opt in. We're just as we say, can we take a picture of your child? We're going to say, is this a chapter that's okay with you? And it's not that we're not going to have sex education.
Yeah, Dr. Perez, if I beg your pardon, let me jump in because we really want this to be a conversation. We understand. I remember I met my first transgender person about 5 years ago, and I kind of reeled back and, but then I said, this is life and you better get used to it. So kids who are between the ages of 13 and 18, they know there are transgender people and they would like to know more in a clinical classroom setting about that. So parents are concerned, we understand, but why not have that in a textbook?
Can have it in a textbook, absolutely. But some parents would prefer that sexual conversations be had with them. And that is, as long as the parents are okay with it, then we will offer it. But I think we have to make parents our partners in this and make sure that they are okay with it. And by the way, the conversation really, we have so many issues, Michael and Glenna, teacher shortage, mental health, safety of our students that are of such importance in our community.
Of course, of course. And just for the record, our little show on Sundays, we do news of the week. We could go on for the whole day talking about all of those issues. But specifically this week, it appears that this removal of this book could be the first test case of Florida's new parental rights in education law, which is now, what's today, in its 24th day. And so the question is, the parents who petitioned to remove this book, 278 signatures. There are 340,000 students in this district. Of those 278 signatures, 44 of them were actually Miami-Dade school parents. So does this to you show that this new law is really going to have some very serious effects that may come down to a fraction of the people involved?
Well, I can tell you, I am campaigning, so I'm walking, and I can tell you that a lot of parents, particularly parents who are new to this country, don't know that they can petition, don't know that they can write letters. As I say, I just addressed a Muslim group. So it is not fair to say it's 44 parents, because there are many parents that are very concerned and would like to have conversations about sex, either have them themselves or approve what is being taught to their children. And as you know, I have always been very concerned in the past with the Vamos a Cuba, what is presented to our students, because that's part of the responsibility of school board members. And I think it is not outrageous to ask parents, is it okay? Is this lesson okay with you? And there's a big difference between math and reading and sexual education.
Yeah, Dr. Perez, I think it goes without saying, you can't have a referendum on every textbook, every theme. I mean, you have to leave this, the most responsible textbooks that you can find, and then leave it up to the teachers to teach. But I mean, if you want to talk about objecting to the way American history is taught, or of course, then we get back to what Glenna said, which is this new parental rights in education. Although, let me just say parenthetically, I had a daughter in school, public school, 30 years ago. Whenever we had concerns about the school, I didn't need a bill to allow me or my wife to go talk to the principal or the teacher. I mean, they welcomed those kinds of conversations, and I suspect they still do.
Yes, I agree with you. And fortunately, we have many parents like you, Michael, that were educated and that know how to go to the schools and address it. But we need to make a bigger push to some of the parents who are still not involved enough in their children's education and don't know that they're able to come and speak. And we have a group, as you know, our community has changed dramatically since your children were in school. We have many immigrant parents. We have very poor. We just got an A rating. Miami-Dade just got an A rating from the state. And we have the largest number of poor students in Florida. That is a wonderful news that we should be celebrating, but we need to make sure that the parents, particularly poor parents, are our partners at all times.
Let me turn really quickly to the election coming up. You have been in that school board seat 24 years. You are a veteran of that board, been through a lot. It is a nonpartisan seat. You are a Republican by politics, a conservative woman, always has been. And this year, you are being primaried, opposed, as are your colleagues on the board who are up for re-election, by what appears to be, and what many have documented, is a concerted and strategic state effort to really place the state administration's own people on school boards. Your take on that?
Well, unfortunately, I think that an A-rated school district, 93% graduation rate. I have the largest high school in Florida, and it's an A rating. I was hoping that people would see the great job that we are doing, and I'm hoping that they thought I was doing a great job. But because I voted for the mask mandate to be extended 2 weeks, because that's what our experts, our medical experts, told us to do. I have a very well-funded opponent who is receiving monies from conservative groups throughout the United States, monies from people that don't even know me, and all the successes that we have had and that District 8 has had under my leadership, all the wonderful schools. We have only A, my elementary schools are all rated A, no D's and C's, and I am being...
Dr. Perez, we know you work very hard. You have for 24 years, and we will follow your campaign here for re-election, and we appreciate your time this morning.
We do. Thanks so much.